guys. So I decided I'm going to do a video on the games that I completed in 2015. Actually saw someone do a video on it. Actually it's Mark. I'll leave his link below to his YouTube channel. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. I think it's MT Shark, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he made a video on all the games he had completed in 2015, and I thought it was an interesting topic, and pretty much just as like a filler video from me not necessarily trying to stay away from going out and picking up too many games and spending too much money, which I guess I could stream more videos, which I did the other day for the first time. I streamed some Fallout 4, although it's kind of new for me. It feels a little weird, although it's not any different than talking to the camera, really. I'm just talking to people as they're watching me. But anyway, I only completed 8 games last year, and I plan on trying to finish at least 15 this year. I'm getting really close with Fallout. I'm 100 hours in right now. Still haven't completed the story, but I'm a little over halfway with my trophies, which all my trophies are pretty much story based. Besides the trophy for having like maximum happiness in one of your settlements, which from what I've heard is probably the most complicated trophy of all of them. And then there's like a couple others, like the 5 giant creatures, which I've already killed 3 or 4 of them, so I only have like 1 or 2 more. And then the bobbleheads, which I'm getting close to also. And other than that, it's story-based, which I have to watch myself too. I have to make sure that I save at specific points and not go overboard, because several different endings, and you have to get trophies for different endings, and unless I want to go back and spend another 100 hours trying to do it again, which I really don't want to do. I love Fallout 4, but I'm ready to move on to something else once I'm done with it. So anyway, enough with that. First game that, and these aren't in any specific order whatsoever, but the first game that I completed last year was The Order 1886. Now, this was a PlayStation 4 exclusive, and it's pretty much, well, I mean, back in 1886, I mean, it's, without spoiling, it's really hard to describe games without really trying to spoil so much stuff, but it's pretty much takes place back in, it's like werewolf type stuff, so I don't really know how to explain this game, but it's really fun. I really liked it. Yes, it was very short. It got a lot of bad criticism and kind of poor reviews, but I think it deserves better than what it got. I actually really enjoyed the story. The gameplay was nice. The only downside that I really had was just really just the length of it. But I only paid $20 for this game, so I could understand if you paid $60 for it. That I can understand, because it's not a $60 worth game. I completed it in maybe 6 hours, maybe. and then I platinumed it in 7 or 8. So very short, but for $20, it's well worth it. Um, but anything above that, I would say no. I do hope they make a sequel to it, and I do hope that it's a longer game. But I mean, I just really enjoyed the story. The visuals were really nice too. It's still one of the better looking games, I think, on the PlayStation 4. Next one that I completed was The Wolf Among Us, and actually this was the most recent one that I completed. This game is pretty much based off of all like the Grimm fairy tales. You play as Bigby, who is pretty much, he's the wolf, but he's a detective, and he's kind of like changed heart, where he's something from his past, which I'm not going to give away, makes him decide he wants to be like good, and he wants to protect his town of the other fables, and somebody is going around killing other fables, and he wants to protect them. So you play as him, and like any other Telltale game, it's, you know, you make your own decisions, and based on your decisions, there's different endings, and different things progress throughout the story depending on what you choose. I really liked the characters. They were all really interesting. I mean, it's got, you know, him, it's got Beauty and the Beast, it's got Snow White, and like, I don't think Rumpelstiltskin has been it, or anything, but like also like the pigs from, the Three Little Pigs or whatever. But after I completed this, which all the Telltale games, they are, you know, episode type games. So they come out one episode at a time, and it's usually like 5 to 6 episodes, and that's like a whole season. So this ended quite a while ago, and they haven't said anything about a new one coming out, like a sequel, even though, I don't know, even though it ended, like, there should be more to it. But I did pick up the comics, which are actually, which this is actually a prequel to comics, which, that's what this is actually based on, the Fables comics. And those are really nice. If you try out this game, you should definitely go to Barnes & Noble and check them out. There's like, I want to say like 23, 25 volumes maybe of the Fables. But, and then now they're actually making the Wolf Among Us comics, so I'm assuming that maybe they're going to continue with comics instead of making a sequel to the game. Which kind of sucks, but I mean, the comics are still pretty awesome, although I'd still rather play through one, but it's still a really good game. All the Telltale games are. I'm not really into Borderlands, but all the ones like this, I think are pretty cool. Now, another Telltale game that I finished last year was Game of Thrones Season 1, which actually I don't have a physical disc because at the time that I beat it, there wasn't one, and I didn't go out and buy it when it came out. But there were 5 episodes, 5 or 6, 6 episodes, I think, of Game of Thrones. That was probably my least favorite of the Telltale games that I played last year, just because it felt a little bit rushed, even though it took probably about 3 months for each episode to come out. Whenever they did come out, they were pretty glitchy, and each episode is usually about 2.5 hours a piece, so they're not very long. But there were like little glitches and graphic problems. Otherwise, it was very truthful to Game of Thrones series, which is actually my favorite series on TV right now, even more than The Walking Dead. Um, I mean, they're not afraid to kill off characters or anybody that you like in the game as well as the TV show as well. Um, but I mean, it's good enough. I mean, these games are like $25 most of the time to buy this whole season pass, and then when every single one of them comes out, then you just download it. Um, I know they're coming out with a Batman Telltale game series, which should be fine. Next game, which was also a download that comes out on Tuesday on disc, is Life is Strange. That game was probably one of the most emotional games I've ever played in my life. Um, I think it actually probably deserves to be in at least, in the running or nominated for Game of the Year. Um, I mean, I'm sure all the Game of the Years are probably already over, but if it wasn't nominated for any of them, then I don't understand why. It's a lot like a Telltale Games in a way. It was by Square Enix, and you played as this girl who was going to like a senior high school, a high school for seniors, and it was a photography um, school she was in, kind of, um, or art school that she was in. But she found out that she actually had a power to rewind time through a past picture. So she was a photography student and she took really good pictures, but whenever she could take a picture and something bad would happen, she could look at the picture and she could rewind time. But the thing is that throughout the game, which you make all these different decisions, there's two different endings. Both really sad, no matter which one you choose. I'm not going to spoil it, but um, it was just like a butterfly effect. You know, she one bad thing happens and she goes back to change it, and then something even worse happens. So, like things are meant to happen, I guess. But some of the stuff in there, like I think episode 2 or 3, it was also an episode like game that came out every few months. But I think it was episode 2 or 3. The first 15 minutes of it, I couldn't even like see the screen half the time because my eyes were like all teared up because it was so sad. I know even grown men who have cried throughout playing this game. So, which I'm not saying that I'm a crybaby, but some things really get to me. But she was kind of like one of the quiet, timid type people, kind of like how I am. So I felt something with this whole game, which I think anybody can feel something with this game. Feel connected to the characters, and it's just really, really sad, but a really good game at the same time. Um, then the fifth game that I completed last year was Lego Jurassic World. Now these are all PlayStation 4 games. I haven't completed anything else this year besides, PlayStation 4. But Lego Jurassic World, um, if you've ever played a Lego game, it's going to be just like that, but it's going to be this one. You could play all 4 Jurassic Park movies like the game. Like you could play the story through Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park: The Lost World, and then Jurassic Park 3, and then Jurassic World. Um, but it was really fun. Took me 35 hours to get a trophy on this, though. It really was pretty time consuming, but that's how much I actually enjoyed this game. If you haven't played Lego games before, I suggest you should pick some up. The Star Wars ones are good. Harry Potter ones were good. I haven't played any of the others really, but I need to get like the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings ones. Those should be fine. But it's just the little like cutscenes and stuff are really funny. They're really goofy, and I just always loved Legos to begin with, and then mix that with like movies that I love, and then I get to play with them. It's great. So I have Lego Dimensions now, so I can't wait to play that. That'll be just as fun, I'm sure. Which I've still got some Lego games on the older gen consoles that I need to finish as well. So, and then the next game that I completed was Until Dawn on PlayStation 4. This was also a PlayStation 4 exclusive. Um, this was a great game. It was survival horror, which is not something I typically play. But you played as there were like 8 different characters, and you started off at this cabin, and one of your friends ends up goes missing, and then well, she gets upset about something, and she runs off, and then she like dies, and then the next year, I think it's the next year, they all 8 remaining characters come back. There were 9 to begin with, I believe. They come back and go to the cabin, and some freaky things start happening, and there's this like crazy person that's after them. It's like in the middle of nowhere. This cabin is, in the woods, kind of like in the mountains, and over by like this the mines and stuff. So it's kind of like haunted and all that, and but this game has like, I want to say, I don't even know how many different endings. I mean, there's 8 characters, and it's possible to kill off any of them, if not all of them, or save all of them, or you could end up with 2 characters at the end. You could end up with all 8. You could end up with 6. And it doesn't, like, it changes no matter which characters die and which ones are saved and all that. So there's so many different endings to this game. I already beat it, and if you can see, it's still sealed. That's because I got it for Christmas. What I did is I rented it from Family Video, which they had like 5 days for $7. So I went ahead and did that, and I beat it in that time. But I wanted it for Christmas, even though I beat it, because I want to play through it several more times. It's probably about, I want to say it's like 8 hours playthrough the first time, and it's still a $60 game, but with the amount of different plays, and I mean, it's not just like, different endings, but throughout the game, like the story is different depending on what you choose. So it really is kind of crazy. Also, what really kind of freaked me out on this game, which I already did a review on this, so I'm sure if you've seen that video, you already know. But there was one point where I was holding the controller, and like you were hiding in this corner from the person that was trying to get you, or the creature, or whatever it was, and it tells you to hold your breath. So I'm holding the controller, and I actually held my breath, which was, it just felt so realistic, like I'm actually like holding my breath as this thing walks past me in this video, in this game. But the moment like I breathed, it knew. And I didn't know that the controller was that sensitive to that sort of thing. And like I hardly even moved. You really cannot move when they're going past you. That was just crazy. I've never felt anything like that in my life before. I mean, with the game, it was just, that was intense. I really like, if you like any kind of survival horror, you should pick this up. Other than that, the other two games that I finished last year was The Walking Dead Season 1 and Season 2 by Telltale Games. Those, just like the others, are all episodes and everything. Instead of being the characters that were in the TV show or the comics, which I've watched all of the TV show like several times, and I'm current on all the comics. I've read up until the last one, so but they're different characters, although there have been some cases where I think maybe one I can think of off the top of my head that they actually did come across in the episodes, but it took place before you actually met them in the show. So it was kind of really cool, because it's like this side story, and it's kind of close to where the characters in the TV show that you're used to are, but it kind of shows some other things going on the side, and they may be like places that the TV show you met later on, but it may have been before in the actual The Walking Dead, which was the same with Game of Thrones. It showed like some things that you didn't know about that weren't necessarily explained in the book, or explained in the TV show. Other characters that actually existed in the story, but you just never really heard much of, which is just really kind of cool, because you get more to a series that you love, like I just really enjoyed it. Clementine, the main character, she's adorable too. There's also It's also a pretty emotional game. Sometimes there are some choices you have to make too, which the other Telltale games you do the same, but this one had a few tear-jerking episodes, especially season 1 did. Now, they haven't really announced any more of the Walking Dead Telltale games that I've seen, like a season 3 yet. But they're doing another side story with Michonne from The Walking Dead. So that might be interesting. I'm hoping, and I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be her before Andrea met her. So that should be interesting. Also, The Walking Dead season 1 and season 2, I finished completely. Season 1 I got a trophy for. Season 2, there wasn't even a platinum trophy available on that one, which I found was really weird. I don't know if there's any other games anybody else has ever come across that hasn't had a platinum trophy or not. But I just found it really strange, because I have 100% completion on the trophies, but there's no platinum trophy whatsoever on that one. Which is also something that I didn't realize until now, but well, all of them except for Until Dawn, which I'm going to work on. Last year I did platinum every single one of them, and well, season 2 of The Walking Dead because there wasn't one. But um, ever since The Walking Dead season 1, which was actually my first platinum, I have been kind of obsessed with platinum, with doing platinums on all of the games. Um, like currently with Fallout 4 is my next one, and then I don't know. I think I might move on to something I haven't played before that's on a last gen or something. If you guys have any suggestions as to what game I should play after Fallout 4, which I mean I've got a lot of new games to play, but I also have a lot of old games that I've never played. I know Ocarina of Time is one of my goals for this year because it's always been considered as one of my favorites, but to be honest, I have never fully completed that game. So, yeah, I mean, every time I come back to it, I start over. I'll start over again, and then I get sidetracked and start over. And I've had that problem for a long time up until recently. I mean, Lego Jurassic World was probably the longest I had put in a game in a long time, 35 hours, which really isn't a lot. Um, and now, even Fallout 4, I've got 100 hours in. But I have this thing where I will not start another game until I finish another. I finished the one that I was already on. So, just with being a fan of multiple things, like I like reading books too, so I have a goal of reading 20 books, and then I've also got a goal of playing 15 games, and then I've got well, there's a lot of TV shows and movies that I need to watch that I haven't watched before, um, and then of course I've got other goals as far as like traveling to different places. I want to go work abroad in Australia at the end of this year. I'm 28 right now and have to do it before you turn 30 because you cannot work in Australia with a work visa um, if you're 30 or older. You have to actually be like a resident after that. So I don't have a lot of time left to do that, and I really need to pay off my bills before. So that's another reason why I'm trying to cut back on doing game pickups and all that, which I haven't really been good at. But I've still been paying a lot off of my credit cards. I just really need to focus on that. Um, but other than that, I don't really have anything else. Picked up a few things today, but I'll do a video on that later. Until next time, I will see you guys later.